My wife's assistant wanted to see if an allergic reaction could be fatal, so she deliberately added peanut powder to the client's nut-free dish. I rushed the client to the hospital and did everything I could to smooth things over, but as soon as I got back to the workplace/office, the assistant badmouthed me. It was Harry's carelessness in not checking the menu that harmed the client. If I hadn't groveled at the hospital and begged for forgiveness, the contract would have been lost. My usually fair wife, Olivia, didn't hesitate to suspend me and promoted the assistant to manager, demanding that I hand over the project for her to run. Everyone thought I'd lose it. But I just stayed silent for a few seconds, then obediently took off my ID badge and signed the project transfer agreement. My wife thought I'd finally learned my lesson, and she comforted me gently, "Good job. Once the company goes public, I'll make time to spend more with you." But she didn't know that the client was only appeased because the main contact person was Cousin Mike, and I held the key patented technology. Now, the company had borrowed over $100 million for this project, and if she got rid of me, the project would stall, and the losses would be unbearable. Harry, you don't think you can just put on a show of handing over the project and everything will be fine, do you? According to company regulations, you almost ruined the core project. At best, you'll be fined, at worst, you'll be fired. Kyle stroked the cover of the project transfer agreement, looking smug and pushing his luck. Everyone present knew the truth, but they were all seasoned veterans of the workplace/office, keeping their eyes down and waiting for Olivia, the CEO, to speak. I just looked at the round pearl earrings on Olivia's ears and quietly clenched the diamond earrings in my hand. The edges dug painfully into my palm. After the allergic reaction incident, Olivia called me quickly to tell me that if I could salvage the project, she'd agree to make it official with me. After 10 years of hidden marriage, I thought I was finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and I persuaded the client at the hospital with a lot of sweet talking and signed the contract. Today, at the celebration party, I made a special effort to get up early, but halfway to the workplace/office, Olivia lied and said she forgot her earrings and asked me to go back and get them. When I got back, Kyle had already twisted the truth and put all the blame on me. So, asking me to get the earrings was just Olivia's excuse to make me take the blame so Kyle could steal the credit. Seeing my gaze on Olivia, Kyle glared at me. "Cat got your tongue? Don't think you can play dead and avoid punishment. Olivia won't support someone like you, who's been in their workstation for years without any ability." "Enough!" Olivia scolded. The next second, she coldly announced the result. The year-end bonus will be deducted and given to everyone in the company as compensation. "Harry, you need to seriously reflect on your mistakes." That sentence made me take the blame squarely on my shoulders. The surrounding colleagues exchanged glances and slowly started to applaud, the applause growing louder and louder. They praised Olivia for being generous and looked at me with mocking eyes. Olivia wanted to avoid suspicion, so over the years, she not only restricted my promotion but also often publicly undermined me. Even the CEO mistreats me, so everyone is even more likely to be fair-weather friends and make trouble for me. If it weren't for Olivia's company's future development, I would have been fed up with these fair-weather friends long ago. I suddenly smiled. No need for so much trouble. I'll just resign and leave now. As I said that, I took out my phone and applied for resignation. Olivia's eyes widened, and she covered my phone screen with her hand. "I'm just suspending you, not telling you not to come to the workplace/of FICE. If you leave, who will be responsible for so many projects on hand?" She actually said that. I smiled sarcastically. CEO Kyle is a talented young man who can turn the tide. He will definitely do better than me. The expressions of the people who were mocking me earlier changed slightly. They all knew that I usually worked hard and without complaint at the workplace/office, and they were used to having things arranged on my head. And Kyle looked like someone who wouldn't be easy to get along with. If I left, those tasks would definitely be distributed to them. Thinking of this, they changed their tune and comforted me. Harry, I think the CEO was just joking with you. We won't accept this money. The company can't do without you, a loyal employee. Seeing that no one supported him, Kyle gritted his teeth and said angrily, Fine, you're all in the same boat as Harry. I'm the only one who's wholeheartedly for the company. Thinking of Olivia. I'll leave then. Seeing that no one came after him, he rolled his eyes, suddenly covered his head, and fell precisely towards Olivia. Olivia, I feel so bad. Olivia's pupils shrank instantly, and she helped Kyle up, asking repeatedly what was wrong. Everyone realized what was happening and also gathered around to show their concern. Kyle looked at me smugly, pretending to be weak all over, making Olivia look anxious. If it had been the old me, I probably would have grabbed Kyle by the collar and told him to stop putting on a show if he was a man. But now, I knew that if someone's heart was biased, no matter how hard I tried, it wouldn't lean towards me. I turned around to leave. But Olivia called out to me from the crowd, Harry, you made Kyle sick. Where do you think you're going? Hurry up and drive him to the hospital. I frowned slightly and, not wanting to be entangled by Olivia, still followed along. At the hospital, the doctor said Kyle was healthy. But at Olivia's strong request, he was still given an admission slip. In the hospital room, Olivia sat by Kyle's bed, looking at Kyle pretending to be asleep with a gentle expression. The dim sunlight shone on her profile, making her look particularly gentle. The patients next door joked that they were a loving couple. Olivia didn't deny it, just lowered her head and tucked the blanket around Kyle with a smile. The room was filled with warmth, and I seemed so out of place. I turned away listlessly and sent a message to Cousin Mike, telling him that Olivia and I were breaking up. Cousin Mike couldn't believe it, deleting and typing, and after a long while, he sent a message. Bro, come to our company. This time, I replied with an okay. After being entangled with Olivia for half my life, from now on, I would only live for myself. But as soon as I walked to the hallway, Olivia chased after me. She grabbed my arm and gave me a scolding. Harry, don't you know Kyle isn't feeling well? Why do you have to make things difficult for him? I smiled self-deprecatingly. In the past half year since Kyle joined the company, I had quarreled and argued with Olivia because of jealousy, gone crazy, and even hysterically threatened suicide. I had also tried a gentle approach, trying my best to be good to her and helping her manage the company. But no matter what I did, Olivia just looked at me coldly and forced me to accept reality with silent treatment. This celebration party, it was clear that Kyle was pressing me every step of the way, and I gave way in every possible way. But Olivia still said I was making things difficult for him. The project, the position, the year-end bonus, her love. Apart from a marriage certificate with her, I already had nothing. A wordless weariness surged into my heart, and I mumbled an okay. Olivia's long eyelashes fluttered slightly, and she took a step forward. I thought she was going to blame me for my bad attitude like she always did, so I looked away. But she gently hung the ID badge that she had put away at S. Point around my neck. Too, I was a little dazed. Her tone softened a lot. Harry, I know you've been wronged in this matter. Kyle isn't feeling well and isn't as strong as you. Besides me, he has nothing in this city. I have to ensure his future is bright. You're different. Even if you lose this project, just because you're my husband, I won't fire you. You can rest assured. Hearing this, my mouth felt bitter. A year ago, when Olivia returned to her alma mater to participate in a speech as an outstanding alumnus, Kyle, this junior, became infatuated with her. He played the victim, saying that he came from a poor family, his parents were both dead, and he felt inexplicably close to Olivia when he saw her. She, who had always been very measured with the opposite sex, allowed Kyle to shake her arm, her eyes suddenly softening as she looked at me and said, "Harry, his background is very similar to yours. I want to help him financially and give him a hand." Olivia made an exception to recruit Kyle and asked me to teach him carefully, giving him the best resources to practice. But at the beginning of the business, she clearly cried and said that she would make it up to me when she succeeded in the business in the future. Now, just because I had endured more hardships than Kyle, I had to eat leftovers and endure her partiality and neglect? Coming back to my senses, I nodded perfunctorily. She thought I wasn't angry anymore, and her eyes lit up. "Don't worry, I'll keep the position for you. I'll reinstate you in a couple of days when the client wires the money, and your year-end bonus won't be less either. When the company goes public, I'll spend more time with you. Haven't you always said you're cold? I'll go on vacation in Miami with you, okay?" The sea breeze and coconut trees were the beautiful scenery that Olivia and I had imagined when we were poor. All along, it wasn't that my body was cold, but that I felt lonely and cold at heart. I forced a smile. "Got it, Ms. Olivia." At this moment, Kyle woke up and weakly called out Olivia. Olivia immediately turned around and went back to the hospital room, saying hastily, "If you're okay, just go home." In public, Olivia only ever let me call her Ms. Olivia, but she only allowed Kyle to call her Olivia informally. The last bit of attachment in my heart was gone. Before leaving, I hung my ID badge on the doorknob of the hospital room. My determination was unwavering. Just like back then, I gave up my great future with an invitation from a foreign factory for Olivia's sake. She didn't know yet that Cousin Mike had already prepared the materials to sue her for breach of contract and to sue Kyle for intentional injury. Without me, the project would inevitably stall. She would not only face huge compensation, but the entire production line would also be scrapped. After turning around and leaving, I went to another floor to visit Cousin Mike. Cousin Mike still didn't look too good. Seeing me, he hesitated. "Bro, are you and your sister-in-law really?" Just then, my phone rang, and Kyle kept sending me photos and voice messages to provoke me. I accidentally slipped and played the voice message. Instantly, Kyle's smug voice echoed throughout the room. "Harry, Olivia just fed me rice spoon by spoon. I wanted to do it myself, but she wouldn't let me. I accidentally spilled the rice just now, and she even knelt down to help me clean it up. Has she ever been so nice to you?" In the photo, the cold and aloof Olivia was kneeling on the ground, wiping the floor with a serious expression. Not only that, but Kyle also sent me a screenshot of an order for a luxury car. Olivia felt sorry for me being sick, so she specially bought me a Bentley to cheer me up. "But Harry, you're still driving a 10-year-old old sedan. Aren't you angry?" I was used to this kind of provocation and ignored it directly. But Cousin Mike was furious. "I'll go find them." I held Cousin Mike down and smiled wryly. "It's okay, we're getting divorced anyway." Cousin Mike finally gave up. After a long silence, he coaxed me with good news. "The legal department will handle our cooperation tomorrow. I've also applied for you to come to our company as a senior executive. Bro, you'll be my boss in the future." I exchanged a few pleasantries with him and prepared to go home. Who knew that as soon as I went out, a sharp, sarcastic voice came from behind. "Oh, Harry, you're still shamelessly following us? Are you happy that you haven't seen me die?" Olivia frowned and pulled at Kyle. But it wasn't because she was angry that Kyle was mocking me, but because she said, "Don't talk about death and stuff. Don't be a jinx." Turning around, Olivia said to me coldly, "Harry, since you haven't left, you can come home with us. The hospital environment is too bad, and Kyle can't sleep comfortably. He's going to stay at our place, so I can get up at night to take care of him." I didn't even give them a glance and turned around to leave. After returning home, I printed out the divorce agreement and felt that 10 years of fatigue had overwhelmed me like a tide. I locked the bedroom door and fell into a deep sleep soon after, until Olivia's calls woke me up. "Harry, why isn't the guest room cleaned up yet? Didn't I say Kyle was going to stay over?" Seeing that the door was locked, she asked loudly with confusion, "Harry, are you asleep?" She suppressed her anger and knocked on the door with forced politeness. "Haven't we already talked things out? What are you still making a fuss about? You used to be so considerate. Why are you being so unreasonable today?" Then I heard Kyle sobbing, "Olivia, I think Harry just doesn't want to see me get better. If I had known this, I would rather die than come to your house and be treated like this." Olivia was heartbroken and banged on the door. "Come out now." I frowned, put on my earplugs, and pulled the quilt over my head. Olivia couldn't open the door and immediately Telly became angry, threatening me with a sneer. "Fine, if you don't come out, I'll take Kyle and go sleep in a hotel." If I had heard these words before, I would have definitely given in on the spot and begged Olivia to stay. But now, I didn't care where she went. I vaguely heard the sound of the door being slammed shut, and then I fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, I was awakened by a rustling sound. When I went out, I saw that Olivia was actually at home. She was hunched over the dining table, writing a card with a serious expression, with a delicate gift box beside her. Didn't she go to a hotel with Kyle? Why was she at home? Just as I was wondering, Olivia looked up and saw me, her eyes suddenly lighting up. The next second, she took out a navy blue tie directly from the gift box, walked to my side, and put her arms around my neck as if to tie a tie for me. After being married for many years, this was the first time she had done such a warm and cozy thing for me. What I had dreamed of was someone tying a tie for me before work and giving me a farewell kiss. The silky, cold touch of the tie made me shudder all over. This tie was from a luxury brand and was worth a lot of money. When the auction house employee delivered it to my house a few days ago, I just thought it was a gift Olivia was buying for a client as usual. I looked at the crown of Olivia's head, feeling a little dazed. I saw her measuring the length with satisfaction, but she didn't tie the knot. The next second, she pulled the tie down, sprayed it with perfume, as if I was something dirty, and muttered, "It's a good thing you and Kyle are about the same size. He's fairer than you, so it'll definitely look better on him." I smiled self-deprecatingly. I knew she wouldn't give me a gift. Olivia put the tie back in with a satisfied expression, along with the card that said "Happy Promotion, Kyle." Just then, her phone rang, and Kyle sent her a message. Olivia's eyes lit up, and she picked up her phone and the gift box, and started walking out. Kyle is still waiting for me downstairs. "Harry, hurry up and wash up. Don't be late for work today." I remembered that I had something more important to do, so I quickly called her to stop. Soon, I took out the divorce agreement that I had printed out yesterday and handed it over. Olivia took the pen and skillfully flipped to the last page. After signing, she handed it to me and then asked hesitantly, "What did you just have me sign?" Before I could speak, she waved her hand. "Never mind, it must be some small projects. I told you that you can make these decisions. You don't have to ask me about everything." Olivia opened the door and then looked back. After a pause, she said, "I want to add Kyle's name to these projects so that the people below don't feel dissatisfied with him. Don't worry, the bonus is still yours." I knew this was an order, not a discussion. She was always so meticulous and considerate when it came to Kyle's affairs. I said faintly, "It's not a project, it's a divorce agreement." For Olivia stopped the foot she had just taken. She suddenly turned her head and looked at me in disbelief. After discovering that the document in my arms was indeed a divorce agreement, her face changed. "Harry, are you crazy? I only took care of Kyle for one night, and you're already talking about divorce." You're so petty, I said. Now, you can be with Kyle legitimately. Olivia looked ashamed and indignant, and she picked up something nearby and threw it at me. Are you sick? I told you that I think he's very similar to you. That's why I'm so nice to him. But that's just an appreciation for talent, not as nasty as you think. What she threw at me was the crystal ball we bought when we were in love, which I begged her to put in the entrance. The pair of little people dancing together in the crystal ball were smashed, and there was a mess of water stains. Glass shards flew everywhere, even scratching the back of my hand. Rawing blood. The loud noise made Olivia regain some reason. Harry came upstairs and saw Olivia and I confronting each other at a glance, immediately protecting her behind him and playing the hero. What's all the noise? Harry, you're so petty. Are you even a man? I even persuaded Olivia to go back and talk to you properly, but this is your attitude. Since that's the case, fine, I'll resign and disappear from Olivia's sight and never appear again, okay? He said generously, earning enough goodwill. I smiled sarcastically. I hope you can do what you say. Kyle was speechless, trembling with anger, and immediately cried out, Olivia, I think Harry is doing this on purpose. He has to force me to death. After saying that, he ran downstairs directly. Olivia was anxious to chase after him, kicking me directly and roaring, What nonsense are you talking about? Get out! Since you want a divorce, get out of my house now. The world finally returned to silence. The notification sound that my resignation application had been approved brought me back to my senses. I was a little dazed when Cousin Mike called me, saying that he would go to the company with me now to settle accounts with Olivia. But after arriving at the company, the HR department told us that Olivia and these senior executives were holding a promotion banquet at a hotel. When we finally arrived, they had already finished eating and drinking, and only leftovers were left on the table. Kyle was wearing the new tie around his neck and looked decent in his custom-made suit, pretending to be nice and saying, Harry, haven't you already resigned? Why are you still coming to my promotion banquet? Are you here to freeload? I'm very generous. You can sit down and have something to eat. Olivia didn't move, her face full of sarcasm. Harry, did you realize you made things too big, regret it, and beg me not to fire you? Too bad it's too late. Kyle rolled his eyes and poured all the leftovers into a soup bowl, saying, Gee, with a smile, Harry, how about this? If you drink this bowl of soup, I'll reluctantly say a few good words for you and let you come back to work at the company. The people present all kicked a man when he's down. CEO Kyle, you're too generous. This kind of infighting, incompetent person can actually come back to work at the company by drinking a bowl of soup. We're so lucky to have a leader like you. That's right, some shameless people are going to know that our company is going public soon and has a bright future. They're really sticking to us like dog skin plaster. Kyle pretended to be humble. After all, we were colleagues once. I still care about relationships. Olivia finally got up, but poured the cigarette butts from the ashtray into the soup bowl. It was already a bowl of swill, and now it was worse than sewage. She looked proud, her red lips curving. Harry, I'm afraid you don't know yet. The company's billions of loans from the bank, as well as all the company's funds, have all been invested in the project's production line. As long as you drink this bowl of soup, I'll let you share the project's money. You won't be able to earn this money even in 8 lifetimes. I want to see how you can still pretend to be noble. I could see that Olivia just wanted to suppress me and satisfy her desire to control me. I smiled. Is that so, Ms. Olivia? The core technology of this project is only something I know. Olivia seemed to have heard the most ridiculous joke in the world. Harry, do you think you're unique? Sorry, Kyle has surpassed you and has become better than you after learning from you for a while. The person in charge of the client is extremely satisfied. The company doesn't need you at all. Kyle looked arrogant. Harry, The waves behind drive the waves ahead. The waves ahead die on the beach. Don't embarrass yourself here. No wonder Olivia suddenly agreed to the divorce. It turned out that she thought Kyle had already mastered my technology. So she was confident. I laughed and asked, "Cousin Mike, how come I don't know about this?" Cousin Mike, who had been holding back for a long time, rushed in and pointed at Kyle, cursing, "Why are you lying? I haven't even settled the matter of you deliberately causing my allergic reaction last time." Everyone looked at the client company's logo on Cousin Mike's chest and turned pale. Kyle naturally recognized that this was the person in charge of the project and immediately looked at Olivia in a panic. Olivia frowned slightly, quickly calmed down, and snorted coldly, putting on a brave face. "So the client is your cousin, Harry. You wouldn't have embezzled public funds to give your brother kickbacks, would you? You brothers are working together to make money. You really are a family. Moreover, even if he is the person in charge, so what? Does he think he can abuse his power for personal gain? The contract clearly states in black and white that the client cannot breach the contract if there is no fault on our part. If we breach the contract, we have to pay 10 times the penalty. I don't believe that he, just a person in charge, can manage such a big project." Before I could speak, Cousin Mike snorted coldly and pointed at the clauses in the contract, saying word by word, "Look clearly, the client also requires that the products produced by the other party must use Harry's patented technology. Now that Harry has resigned, your company doesn't have the patent ownership at all. You're the one who's breaching the contract. Hurry up and raise the money. Our CEO is very angry and has decided to use the entire legal department to sue you." 5. Looking at the clauses in black and white on the contract, Olivia was a little dazed and subconsciously questioned, "Kyle, didn't you say that you were responsible for drafting the contract? Is there this clause? Didn't you check it?" A trace of panic flashed in Kyle's eyes, and he didn't hesitate to put the blame on me. IWR. Oh, the contract. Could it be that Harry secretly touched the USB drive in my workstation and added this clause? Turning his head, he looked at me with a face of shame and indignation. "Harry, I didn't expect you to be a commercial spy, colluding with the client to change the contract and destroy our company. You're really malicious." In a few words, he got rid of himself completely and instead put countless labels on me. He looked sincere now, using all his acting skills. Even Olivia was stunned and turned her head to frown and ask me, "Harry, is what Kyle said true?" Before I could answer, she decided that I did it, and said coldly with a frown, "Apologize to me now, and I can consider not calling the police to arrest you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being heartless." As long as it was Kyle's words, no matter how illogical, Olivia would believe it. I wanted to see how long she would trust that idiot. A mocking smile appeared on the corner of my lips. "Then call the police. Where's the evidence? Is it just Kyle's word?" Afraid that the trouble would come back to him, Kyle immediately reddened his eyes. "You dared to do such illegal things, you must have destroyed the evidence long ago." He shook Olivia's arm and said aggrievedly, "It's okay, Olivia. I can take all the responsibility for Harry, as long as your company is safe. My life doesn't matter." Olivia's eyebrows tightened, and she patted Kyle's hand comfortingly. "Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you." The next second, she said coldly, "Harry, I'm only giving you this one chance. Apologize and admit your mistake, and I'll call you back to the company." I'll reluctantly act as if nothing happened. I was about to be amused by her confidence. Now that she was the one who was going bankrupt and she was the one who was going to bear the debt, what qualifications did she have to be so superior? Before I could speak, Cousin Mike turned red with anger and spat heavily. "Olivia, you're too narcissistic. Aren't you? Where do you get the confidence to ask my brother to go back? Is it because you're a fickle, ungrateful, white-eyed wolf? Or is it because you have this small company that hasn't even gone public yet? My brother worked hard for your company, working day and night. You don't deserve to have my brother at all." Olivia trembled with anger. She had never been humiliated like this in her life. After being with me, she became the CEO, and she had always been praised and protected by people. She had long been used to the people around her groveling. For the first time, she lost control and retorted, "I'm not worthy of a loser like Harry. If he wasn't my husband, I would have fired him long ago. No company would want this kind of loser." Hearing the word husband, everyone present looked shocked, not believing their ears. Even Kyle subconsciously pulled on Olivia's sleeve and murmured, "Olivia." Cousin Mike didn't indulge her, and took out the labor contract with a mocking face. "A loser? You're the real loser, Olivia. Are you the only one in the world who's blind? Can't you see it? My brother is a senior talent, a sought-after talent in the market. All companies are watching him. Our boss only cooperated with you because of my brother. You're the only one who doesn't know his worth." Looking at the labor contract in black and white in Cousin Mike's hand, everyone was shocked. You had to know that the company Cousin Mike was in was one of the top 500 in the country. At that time, when we climbed up to this company and heard that a cooperation could be reached, everyone was overjoyed and felt that they had gotten a great deal. Even Kyle widened his eyes and showed a jealous expression towards me. He gritted his teeth, saying in a strange tone, "Oh, Harry, you don't want our company's position as a director just to be a contract worker for a big company." Olivia's pupils trembled, and she only came back to her senses after hearing Kyle's words, revealing a mocking smile. "Harry, you really are a frog in a well, a prime example of picking up a sesame seed and losing a watermelon." Actually, she felt a little guilty saying this, her fingers trembling incessantly. But now, everyone at the workplace/office was watching. She couldn't lose face. She continued to mock, not hesitating to speculate about me with the most malicious intentions. "Could it be that you and Cousin Mike are working together from the inside and out, just to bring down our company and offer a certificate of loyalty to Party A? Harry, I really misjudged you. You're just a heartless wretch." Her words were utterly harsh. I sneered inwardly. Working together from the inside and out? If she hadn't set me up to take the blame at the celebration party, I wouldn't have considered resigning at all. How could she have ended up in this situation otherwise? But I knew that talking to her was like casting pearls before swine. It was pointless to say more. Seeing Cousin Mike about to rush out and argue with them, I stopped him, saying, "Enough." I raised my eyes and looked coldly at Ms. Olivia and Kyle, my tone icy. "Ms. Olivia, we're divorced now, so please stop saying things that could be misleading. Also, instead of arguing here, you should think about how to scrape together the penalty for breach of contract." Hearing this, Cousin Mike calmed down and smirked. "That's right, Olivia. The people from our company's legal department will be handling this matter this afternoon. When that time comes, don't come begging my brother." After saying that, he pulled me around and left. Olivia, her face flushed with anger, grabbed a nearby wine glass and threw it at me. "Harry! You ungrateful bastard!" I was facing away from her and didn't have time to dodge. The red wine hit me squarely in the back. The wine soaked my suit jacket, and the strong smell of alcohol permeated my entire body. The glass fell to the ground and shattered. Cousin Mike's eyes widened immediately, and he pointed at Olivia, yelling, "Olivia, don't go too far." I turned around, looking at the enraged Olivia with indifferent eyes. Olivia craned her neck to look at me, failing to recognize her current situation, and fantasized, "Harry, do you really want to keep making trouble? If you apologize to me now, I might consider remarrying you and forgiving you." A mocking smile tugged at the corner of my lips, and I took 2 steps closer. Olivia thought her words had really worked, raised her eyebrows, covered her mouth, and chuckled. "I thought you had great ambitions, Harry. You need to be obedient from now on." Kyle frowned and chuckled. Harry, did you make such a scene just to force Olivia to return to the family? Isn't this a bit too much of a fuss? Even now, he didn't forget to instigate. Everyone thought they had persuaded me and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. But the next second, I directly splashed the bucket of slop mixed with cigarette ashes onto the two of them. The slop covered their heads and faces, sliding down their hair and chins, a greasy and disgusting mess. It was simply exhilarating. I grabbed Cousin Mike and left. As we went out the door, I heard a belated gasp and a sharp scream from behind. They were yelling, roaring, and shouting for the police to be called. The workplace/office crowd all went over to comfort them and persuade them to calm down. After leaving the workplace/office, Cousin Mike and I smiled at each other. He scratched the back of his head and smiled shyly. Harry, since Aunt and Uncle died in the car accident, I felt very far away from you. Now, I feel like I'm back to when I was a kid, running around after you. I was slightly stunned. After my parents died in a car accident, I closed myself off and reduced contact with relatives, almost becoming a loner. It wasn't until I met Olivia that I opened my heart and tried my best to treat her well, treating her as my last family member. Looking back now, someone had always been quietly watching me, but I was blind to it. My gaze softened. Yeah, if you have time, I'll visit your house. It's been many years since I visited Aunt and Uncle. Cousin Mike's eyes lit up. After a moment, he smacked his forehead. Oh, I forgot. Our CEO specifically instructed me to bring you to the company for onboarding as soon as possible. With that, he took me to the company. A Fortune 500 company was different from Olivia's company, which was about to go public. It owned an entire office park, grand in scale. I couldn't help but feel a little apprehensive as I entered the office. The woman sitting in the office chair had her back to me, looking at the scenery outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. Cousin Mike introduced me seriously. Ms. Joanne, this is Harry. Hearing this, the woman lazily waved her hand, signaling Cousin Mike to leave and closed the door behind him. Her fingertips were a scarlet red, painted with nail polish. It wasn't until the door closed that she slowly turned around. I was a little nervous at first, then my eyes widened. Joanne? The woman in front of me had fair skin, a gorgeous appearance, and signature almond-shaped eyes. It was Joanne, my childhood sweetheart. Seeing my stunned expression, Joanne's eyes crinkled, and she laughed. Her tone was soft. What? Didn't expect it to be me. I frowned slightly, my tone also cooling down. Didn't you go abroad? Joanne and I could be said to be the quintessential childhood sweethearts. From elementary school to high school, we had always been desk mates, happy rivals. Until my parents died in high school, I originally wanted to find Joanne to confide in. Joanne's family went abroad without a word to me. For me, this was undoubtedly a betrayal. Seeing my tense expression, Joanne's always smiling lips narrowed, and her expression suddenly became a lot more serious. She clenched her hands, and after a long time, she smiled. Dean said, my family had some things happen back then, so I left without saying goodbye. Are you still holding a grudge? For some reason, a feeling of being played surged into my heart. My tone was even colder. Did you deliberately persuade my cousin to join your company? Joanne nodded. Yeah, I said before, don't forget each other when you get rich. A sarcastic smile tugged at my lips. I thought I could show my abilities in the new company. But in the end, I was just a tool for these people to play with. I opened my mouth, about to say sorry, I might not be able to handle the job. Joanne added, of course, it's because you're an important talent. Of course, I wouldn't let such a good deal go to outsiders. Seeing her business-like expression, as if she had long forgotten the past, my heart turned 1,000 times. After a long time, I sighed. I was too attached and thought too much. Adults don't have so much absolute love and hate, it's just about interests. I nodded, coldly. Then thank you, Ms. Joanne, for giving me this opportunity. Joanne's red lips curved, seemingly not caring about my reaction, her fingers twirling the leaves of the pothose. For some reason, I seemed to feel that she wasn't very happy. But that had nothing to do with me. Walking out of the office, Cousin Mike still patted me with a smile. How is it? How is it? Isn't our Miss Joanne very beautiful? Did she say a lot to you? Joanne really missed you. She asked me to inquire about you every day. I didn't expect that former playmates would now become elites. It's really a case of things changing beyond recognition. Asked me about me every day? I was stunned, smiling and shaking my head. Just an old classmate. The new company was different, the resources were sufficient, and I quickly adapted to the environment. Joanne also fulfilled her promise, appointing me as the director of production as soon as I joined the company, with an annual salary of $5 million. Cousin Me secretly told me that the legal department had already negotiated with Olivia's legal department. Olivia's company was willing to pay compensation. This would greatly damage her company, if not kill it. Hearing this, only 4 words flashed through my mind. Serves her right. I thought Olivia and I would never have any contact again, but not long after, Olivia actually asked me out for a meal to chat. I didn't want to pay attention to her, but she said there were some things at home that I hadn't taken away. Helpless, I could only meet her. Her eyes were dark, and she didn't seem to be resting well these days. Even makeup couldn't hide her poor complexion. I asked her, "What do you want to give me? Please hurry up. I have to get up early for work tomorrow." Olivia just smiled. No rush. With that, she slowly cut the steak into small pieces, her posture elegant. Then, she thoughtfully exchanged the small pieces of steak with me, saying gently, "Harry, try this. I remember you used to like eating this the most." I shuddered at her address. This was how she addressed me many years ago when we were in love. Since the company expanded to 20 people, she had never been so gentle again. I had no appetite at all and went straight to the point. "Okay, what exactly do you want to do?" Olivia was silent for a moment, stroking the diamond ring on her ring finger. She hadn't worn this diamond ring for 10 years. She told me that as long as 2 people were in love, wedding rings were just a formality, and she didn't allow me to wear one either, putting it away on a high shelf. But now, she was putting on a show by wearing it. Did she think I would be moved by this clumsy acting? After a long time, she finally spoke. "Harry, could you?" She pulled out a contract and pushed it in front of me. "Could you, for the sake of our former marriage, please be lenient and transfer the patent to me, or you can name a price. I'm willing to buy it, no matter how expensive." So that was her purpose. She probably saw the funds going down the drain, unable to make ends meet, and wanted to continue the cooperation. Unfortunately, I wasn't a hesitant person. I got up and took my briefcase. "Sorry, I'm not selling." Olivia was instantly annoyed and swept the table clean in frustration. A few days later, I received a package from Olivia. The package was delivered to the company, attracting everyone's attention. They thought it was a small gift from someone pursuing me and clamored to see it. Helpless, I opened it. It was indeed all my things, but they were all splashed with black ink, obviously full of malice. Instantly, everyone fell silent. I had long known that Olivia harbored evil intentions. "It's okay." I breathed a sigh of relief. From the dirty box, I took out a silver chain. Fortunately, she didn't forget to return this item to me. This was the necklace my mother wore when she died in a car accident, which I had always carefully preserved. At first, Olivia thought it was a gift I gave to another girl and cursed angrily. Later, We reconciled after a half-month-long fight. Besides this necklace, I moved everything else to the trash pile downstairs and threw it away. While waiting for the elevator, the door opened, and Joanne was standing inside. I originally wanted to wait for the next one, but she pressed the open button, so I could only accept her offer. The atmosphere was quiet and silent. "You're avoiding me," Joanne suddenly spoke. My eyebrows twitched. "No." Joanne seemed to be amused and let out a sound of amusement, her eyes curved, but there was no smile in her eyes. "Harry, I didn't know you were such a sentimentalist, rekindling your relationship with your ex-wife several times." I didn't understand what Joanne was talking about. But the next second, she suddenly cornered me in the elevator, leaned her head on my shoulder, and said unwillingly in my ear, "Do you like Olivia that much? Even though she humiliated you and abused you so much, you still want to meet her and even keep your love tokens?" In a flash of lightning, I seemed to understand something. My face was a little ugly. "Are you stalking me? Or investigating me?" Without waiting for her to speak, I said directly, "What love tokens?" "Just my mother's relics. The reason I met her before was also for the relics." Joanne was immediately a little guilty, her red lips lifted. "Just kidding, so easily teased?" With that, the elevator opened, and she fled in a hurry. I sighed softly. Unexpectedly, the next day, Cousin Mike told me some big news with a serious face. Olivia's company had actually come back to life. It was said that they had found a cheaper substitute for my technology, which quickly attracted a large number of orders, and the company was about to be revived. I was stunned. The technology in my hands was already top-notch in the country and unrivaled at home and abroad. How could there be a newer and cheaper technology than mine? Olivia's workshops alone could not have achieved such a technological breakthrough. I frowned and asked Cousin Mike, "Do you have any way to get me some samples?" Cousin Mike brought me samples to see in the afternoon. My heart sank more and more. What did Olivia want to do? The quality of this product did meet the standards, but based on Olivia's selling price, it was completely a loss-making business. Ding dong. On my phone, my ticket purchase software reminded me. "Ms. Olivia, the plane you purchased will take off at 3 p.m. today. Please plan your trip in advance." Olivia's travel matters had always been my responsibility, so I hadn't deleted her from my passenger information. Why did she suddenly buy a plane ticket? Thinking, I still told these clues to colleagues in the industry. In the afternoon, a piece of news quickly ignited the industry. Olivia and Kyle were wanted. They disappeared at the airport, suspected of trying to escape abroad. Saying this news, the unease in my heart was confirmed. They really wanted to swindle a sum of money and run away. But where did they go? When I got off work, I was worried. Seeing this, Joanne followed me and asked me what was wrong jokingly. Just as I was about to answer, a van passed by us. Then, the car door opened, and countless hands grabbed both of us into the car. The next second, they sprayed some kind of gas on our faces, and I passed out. When I woke up again, I found myself locked in a basement. My hands and feet were cuffed. In the dark room, through the faint light of the exhaust fan, I saw Joanne lying on the side. Joanne had tape over her mouth. Seeing me wake up, she struggled excitedly. My mind was chaotic, and the door to the basement was opened. Olivia and Kyle walked in slowly. Their hair was disheveled, and they were wearing t-shirts and jeans, looking very embarrassed. Olivia's eyes were deep, looking calm on the surface, but her eyes were suppressing madness. "Harry, why are you always haunting me, unwilling to let me go?" "No, who exactly is unwilling to let go of whom?" Kyle snorted even more coldly. "Harry, if you hadn't secretly reported us, we would be abroad now. Aren't you going to hand over the money?" Olivia raised her eyebrows and took out her hand from behind, holding a gleaming fruit knife. Money? These two dogs, male and female, I think they should go to hell. Hearing this, my heart trembled. Olivia's tone was so serious that she was probably really capable of doing it. Kyle panicked and said anxiously, Olivia, didn't you agree with me? Only money, if it's about killing people. Kyle usually had a lot of petty thoughts, but in the end, he was just a college student who had just entered society and immediately wanted to back out. Olivia disdained it, holding the knife and walking towards Joanne and me step by step. Kyle swallowed and turned to leave. Olivia. Olivia, I'll wait for you outside. The next SEC. Olivia turned her hand and stabbed the knife into Kyle's back. Then she took out a bank card from his pocket. Kyle, do you think I'm a fool? You wanted to leave behind my back. What a beautiful dream. However, people like you who only care about profits should go to hell with us. Kyle only struggled twice before losing movement. Seeing this, Joanne and I looked at each other, seeing horror in each other's eyes. I never thought that Olivia would be so crazy. After dealing with Kyle, she walked over slowly, the knife in her hand still dripping blood. I subconsciously stood in front of Joanne. Olivia just sneered and tore off the tape on our mouths with her backhand. Let's play a game. Between the two of you, I'll only kill one. You say bad things about each other, and whoever is worse, I'll kill them. I had a sinking face. No need to say more. Kill me. Joanne said anxiously, tears in her eyes. No. Kill me instead. Seeing us fighting to die to save each other, Olivia's expression instantly twisted, as she had been waiting to see us fight like dogs. She clenched the handle of the knife and said, word by word, Harry, you don't want your life for this woman? You are an ungrateful bastard. Have you forgotten that you used to be gloomy, and no one wanted to pay attention to you? It was me who took the initiative to chat with you and make you cheerful. Without me, where would you be today? But you betrayed me again and again for this woman. As she spoke, her eyes were bloodshot, and she raised the knife to stab down. The tip of the knife deviated and pointed straight at Joanne. Seeing this, Joanne didn't dodge, but pushed me away hard as I tried to block the knife for her. It was like slow motion. I watched helplessly as the tip of the knife pierced Joanne's chest, and my vision was stained red with blood. Joanne fell in a pool of blood, her life or death uncertain. My heart was both indignant and sad. I don't know where the strength came from. But I actually stood up and pushed away Olivia, who still wanted to stab. In a short while, I was covered in scars. Barely clinging to life, I closed my eyes, ready to accept my fate. In my ear, a pleasant voice sounded. Put down the knife, don't move. The things that happened later, because the stimulation was too great, I can't remember very clearly. I only remember that the police found me, saying that Olivia had kidnapped us in the street, which caused passers-by to call the police, so they were able to investigate so quickly. They were committing the crime so blatantly because they wanted to make a quick decision. Fortunately, they arrived in time. It's just that Kyle lost too much blood and died despite the rescue efforts. And Joanne was no longer in danger of life because she was treated in time. Olivia will face life imprisonment, or even more severe punishment. Before we had a chance to chat, Joanne stumbled into my hospital room. The police knew we had something to say and nodded before leaving. I saw Joanne's pale face. She threw herself into my arms and checked my wounds. I was wrapped in bandages, looking frightening, but nothing was really wrong. She breathed a sigh of relief, crying, "You're okay. I'm glad you're okay." She wiped her tears, and after a long time, she suddenly said in a muffled voice, "My dad found the love letter I wanted to give you that year, and forced me to go abroad, and also said that if I pestered you, he would make you drop out of school, so I left without saying goodbye. Harry, this sentence is 12 years late. I want to tell you, I have liked you for a long time." Looking at Joanne, who was no longer awkward, my heart warmed, and I put her in my arms, and whispered, "Me too, let's get married after I get better." Outside the window, the sun was shining. Happy days are still ahead. End.